The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
I had a kid in my class. He's now 23 years old. He was in my class when he was 12. She was in my class, my 8th grade, 11 years ago. I totally lost contact with him. I don't know, I had nothing to do with him. I lost contact, my fault, whatever. Whatever the result, he was in my class. I was already in my years, 11 years ago, I was already not the same Rabbi that I was when I was very young. So, 97.5, right? Hidavru gets a phone call today. From a guy. So the guy who runs Hidavru picks up the phone, and the guy says to him, or it was today or yesterday, Wallerstein speaking on your radio station, and they're like, yeah, and he's like, oh my God, I haven't seen my Rebbe in a long time, 10 years, 11 years. So I have to tell you something. I live out in the islands. Listen to this. He lives out in the islands. He says, in the islands is a rock station, 97.5. I know that it's a rock and roll station, for really heavy rock and roll. He says, I love rock and roll. He's a worker. He says, and I had a job in Brooklyn. So I always have it on 97.5. But he got bored is 97.5 here in Brooklyn. So he got a 97.5 because this is rock and roll in Long Island. When he got to Brooklyn, it was on 97.5. He pushes his radio, it was on 97.5 for the rock and roll. He pushes out to listen to rock and roll, but in Brooklyn it's not rock and roll. In Brooklyn it's he got bored. And who's on at that moment that he pushes the button? I am. And he listens to this Rabbi, and he's like, I know that voice. That's my Rebbe. And he listens to my share. It was an hour and a half share. He listens to my whole share. And he calls up Hidavru, and he says, I want to talk to my Rebbe. And he's not really nothing to nothing. He doesn't keep anything. Right? He says, I want, if you can give me Rabbi Wallerstein's number, I want to talk to him. So, because we'll have this guy, I haven't seen him in 11 years. He's listening to 97.5 rock in Long Island, right? Ends up coming to Brooklyn, turning on the radio. At that moment, would have been Jewish music, he would have flipped this, he would have turned it off. At that moment, I'm speaking as my student. There's no way I would have ever found him. I forgot about him. I had nothing to do with each other. We weren't that close in class. Whatever that, whether I'm going to meet him, he's going to confirm. I don't have the end of the story yet, right? The story just started. But look what's going on here. So you could just look at it and say, oh, all right, yeah, it's cool, 97.5 here and there. Because Baruch was turning the channels. He's got this guy set up. It could be that the only reason he likes 97.5 in the island, listen to rock and roll, because there's 100 different stations. Because Baruch Hu knew one day that 97.5 is going to have his Rebbe speaking on it. And he's going to meet him, and maybe he'll bring him back. Whatever. I don't know the cheshbon yet. I don't know the cheshbon. But, oh my God, you're the man. I mean, it's crazy.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org